Medical disclaimer. Please note that the information shared on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health regimen, including starting new therapies, supplements, or treatments. While we discuss cutting-edge research and advancements in cellular medicine, individual health needs vary and professional guidance is essential. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that neither Dr. Seeds nor the podcast team is providing personalized medical recommendations.
On today's episode of Redox Revolution, we have a very special guest where we're going to dive into the mind, body, and spirit of cellular medicine. Welcome to another episode of Redox Revolution, and I am here with Matt, Maddie, and Leah. Great to have you today, Leah. Matt, take it away and tell us all about Leah.
So, introducing our prize guest for the day, Lea Llovio is a conscious wellness thought leader and globally sought-after speaker and consultant to world leaders, top doctors, and high performers in health and wellness, personal development, and entertainment. She helps change makers identify the thought patterns and emotional interference that drain energy, delay healing, and cloud decision-making, even when everything on the outside appears successful. Her work sits at the intersection of spiritual and scientific medicine, where mindset, energy, and evidence-based protocols combine to create real-world results. Lea guides leaders and practitioners to recalibrate how they think, choose, and lead so that they can heal faster, live better, and serve with more impact. She calls this approach living the blessing way. Known by the world's most trusted voices as the Guru's Guru and the Doc Whisperer. Lea is the only one they call when no one else can identify what's blocking progress. Whether supporting a high-profile visionary facing the unseen pressure of visibility or reminding a physician why they entered medicine in the first place, Lea helps people return to the core of who they are without noise, without pressure, and without compromise. Lea, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, and I'm so happy and grateful to be with you. I always say that people in the wellness industry, whether it's a doctor, whether it's their staff, a healer of any kind, are my favorite people on earth because I call them the angels on the planet. So if you chose at one point in your life to do something to help heal people, to me, you are a walking angel on the planet.
Did you guys hear that? I'm an angel.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you, Leah.
Were, not just you.
Right.
Were.
It's the whole.
But at least I get to be part of it.
Yeah, you're part of
You get
us.
to be part of it, but you guys
an
get
angel.
to, you get to share wings though,
Yeah.
right?
You're not the angel. You're
But at least I'm
angel.
included in that discussion. I'm
that's
not
true.
a bad person like you guys talk about.
No, you could never.
No one's saying you're bad, but angel is... Oh, no. All right. Well, let's
Thank
not get
you,
into
Leah.
that.
Of
Let's not get
course.
into that onion. Let's unpeel a different one.
Okay.
Lea, we're very curious about your perspective on, wellness and how you've kind of come to this unique mind, body, spirit point of view. Can you share with us a bit of your history and how your current work has been shaped?
Absolutely. So history-wise, I was very blessed to grow up in Los Angeles, grow up among chaos and Hollywood and craziness. And, you come to Los Angeles and you see everything, right? Mm-hmm. You see the healthiest people and the craziest people. And I always call it the city of angels, right? Because if you can make it in Los Angeles, you can pretty much make it anywhere. But what I saw when I was growing up, being amongst a very diverse culture, diverse spiritual practices, lots of violence, in Los Angeles, we've got craziness all over the place, is that there are many ways to heal. And the people that tend to heal tend to have something that they really believe in, that really anchors them. And this does not mean something from a spiritual realm. I call it spirituality, but it isn't necessarily that. It is something within them that makes them believe, hey, I get a chance to heal myself. I get a chance to help others heal. And they have a tremendous grit. And they choose a life of wellness. They choose a life of striving and of trying their best to heal themselves. So that's, where it started for me, and just seeing so many different modalities and ways to heal. So in ancient times, we had the village shaman, right? Mm-hmm. We had the witch doctor, the medicine woman, and people in villages would go to them with their ailments, but they would go to them with complete faith and trust. This person has the miracle for me. This person is going to heal me. And they had no doubt. And the healer also had no doubt. And at that time, we didn't have the research. We didn't have the scientific information. But ultimately, it was take this tea, grab that plant, and it also was medicine, right? No one had the doubt. Everyone just had faith and believed that this is the miracle healing. But now we have research, we have PhDs, we have MDs, we have books and books with all of the proof of what every compound does to either our detriment or to heal our bodies. And so that's, where it started for me, that there are many ways, there are many names to call the healing process or the healers, but ultimately healing is healing. And it generally doesn't happen unless two people believe it can happen. And that's the one doing the practice of helping the other heal and the one going for the healing.
Wow.
Right on target there, right? It's no different.
Your brain needs to be invested in it.
Yeah, and your patient's got to be playing same team, has to be right on target with you, or you're not going to get anywhere.
And that's what, at our practice, like part of becoming a patient of Dr. Seeds is you have to go through a discovery call process. Typically it's with me, but it's a way for me to also get a gauge on the patient of, are you going to be part of this journey, or is this something that you're going to need to be talked into? And right from the start, I'm able to tell, like, yeah, you want to be here. You're ready to make this step. Like, this is going to work. And then there's times where I'm like, I'm sorry, like, we are not the right fit for you right now, because they already have that mentality of, well, this isn't going to work. And you just know it's not going to be a successful relationship.
I agree 100%. That's what I tell the people that I work with. If you're going to a doctor, if you're going to a practitioner, if you don't feel 100% that they are going to find the solution for you, the healing for you, whether it's a medication or a peptide or tell you to start running twice a week, if you don't believe that they have the answer, don't go to them, because you're already blocking the healing. And the same goes for the practitioners and the practice. I love that you do the discovery call, because if you don't feel, if the doc doesn't feel, if the team doesn't feel we can truly serve this person and get them where they need to be, then again, there is an interference with healing. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I strongly believe in, is that first we always have to remove the interference to the healing.
Yeah, well, we can say we're so smart, but we learn that through time and failures, and understanding that if your patient isn't invested in the journey with you, I don't care how smart you are, I don't care what you offer them, you're not going to get to that outcome you both are expecting and you want to achieve. And I think the other part of it for us was just you know what it's like. I mean, the time you invest in, we truly invest in our patients to get them better. And there's nothing more frustrating than investing in that relationship when that patient doesn't have the same investment you have. It's a shared process. And so we totally agree we follow that very well.
So what do you do when it's almost like the patient is the interference, meaning like they've identified so much with being sick that their people around them are saying they feel better, they're doing more, but the patient isn't feeling that. They're still stuck in that, no, I'm sick, I'm not getting better. And it just seems like that's become their identity and they don't know what to do without it.
That question is beyond brilliant. It really is. And that is the essence of the work that I do, is that we can have a patient, a client, or a person that has all of the resources in the world, and they go and they do everything you tell them, but still there's something inside of them that hasn't identified with what it is to be well. So the work that I do with individuals, in this case, when it's the patient or the client, is we start to look at where did this belief system come, right? Where did they start believing that they're not allowed to be fully well, or that being fully, vibrantly healthy isn't even possible? We're in the wellness community, so we see a lot of people that are thriving and that are doing extremely well. But many people, they might be the only person in their family, in their network, that is actually trying to live an optimized life physically. And so we really start to look at like what's going on with them. What are their circumstances? What are their family dynamics? I don't go into like deep psychological therapy, for example, because most people, I feel, don't have time. And I do believe you need to leave the past in the past and live in the present. Because if you're holding on to the past, it's very hard to give all of your time and energy to the healing of the present. But we do try to uncover like where are the original thought processes that came in that said, okay, now I'm very successful in my career. Now I've got a great relationship. I've got an amazing doctor with an amazing team. And still, they're not well. So many times, one of the things, and this is one of the interferences that really block healing, is guilt. Sometimes people feel a little bit guilty when they've got too many great things going on. And that is mostly a societal thing, right? Society is always wanting us to suffer with society. Instead of saying, hey, those of you that are well and that have more resources, thank you, contribute to the healing of others and myself, society kind of wants people who have a certain position to feel guilty. Well, this is an interference. It's an interference to their wellness and to the people that have the resources. So I try to work on really through thought processes, logical, rational thought processes, coming to the understanding that it's very practical that if you are fully well physically and you have resources and you have positive relationships in your life, well, guess what? Now you can truly be of service to the world. Now you can be your best. You can never be your best if you are not physically well. It's impossible because your mind will be focusing on what's wrong with your body.
Is it fair to say that when you say interfering, like interfering with just their internal like energy and peace, so if that's how you define it, then how do you track energy for your clients then?
Absolutely. So interference is anything that's going to take your thoughts and your attention away from all of the things you want in your life.
Like my staff does to me?
They do that to you all day long?
I didn't mean to interrupt. But
No, that's okay.
I identified.
You
with something.
identified.
Especially with Grace here that no one can see. But
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Are they
Sorry.
causing interference for you?
Constantly.
Okay, but there is a key here.
Yeah.
If you can use comedy and be amused and do things in a fun way, that's very different than if you're actually suffering.
Oh, I'm suffering.
Does that-
Are you suffering?
Nope, I think we make you laugh.
I think half of our comedy is through cuss words.
Okay, that works. I heard they're very healing.
Yeah.
I'm suffering now. I like
Oh,
this. This is awesome.
you
I feel
poor little
I
thing.
feel like I'm in therapy right now. This is awesome. Keep going,
Okay,
Leah.
we'll just have a full therapy
This is
session.
good. Everything she's saying, I'm identifying with right now.
Look at
Okay.
that.
Oh, I'm feeling better already.
So when you're
Good.
tracking your energy with your clients, like, I don't mean to make it reductive. Is it like on a scale? Is it different levels or tiers, or you're just feeling it out with everyone? You don't really put like a label or a rubric on it.
Okay, so there are David Hawkins. He actually did this thing where he would measure frequencies if you were having a positive thought versus a negative thought. No, I don't do that. I think there's definitely a place for tracking. You can put on an Aura ring and see what type of sleep you had. You know, there's so many devices nowadays. And you know that if you have a negative thought or you're feeling like garbage, you didn't work out, you're going to see that in your tracking. That's one thing. But this is not so practical, right? The practical interference thoughts or feelings or actions are literally anything that takes your attention away from what you want and from your healing process. And how do we track that? Well, if you're not getting well, how much time are you spending being pissed off? How much time are you spending judging other people? How much time are you spending criticizing yourself or anyone else? These things are very practical. It's time and energy. And as far as I know, we all have the same 24 hours. So what do you do with those 24 hours? And within those 24 hours, you can spend a lot of time and waste a lot of time thinking about all of the negative things in your life. Or you can spend that time creating, thinking of ways, thinking of solutions to make your life better, to make your business better. That's how I track. How happy are you? How healthy are you? And how abundant are you?
So conscious thought processes.
Conscious thought processes. Yep.
So you're basically saying instead of, hitting a metric, it's just continuing to remind yourself and train your brain to consciously be grateful and remind yourself of the good things you have going on and give yourself a little bit of grace even when maybe society doesn't want to.
Not a little bit of grace. I want you to give yourself tremendous grace.
I got plenty of grace right there.
There you go. There she is.
So what about the people who, the fake it till you make it? So they are just faking like, I have my shit together. I am so happy. Life is great. Are you able to just like kind of read through them like, I think you're full of shit? Or like, how do you handle that?
Well, I love that question. The important thing is, do you think you're full of shit? This is the most important question for each person to answer. For example, if there is a person that loves how they are living their life, and maybe society says, well, you're doing all that, but you don't have a great relationship. Well, that great relationship may not be important to them at that time. And so what I like to have people practice is radical self-acceptance. You were talking about grace, a little bit of grace. No, a lot of grace and radical self-acceptance. Accepting the first step to removing the negativity is literally saying, okay, this is who I am right now. Yeah, there's things I want to change, but to truly accept yourself radically as how you are right now and understand that you are an intelligent, thinking human being. Humans are extremely intelligent, and you can at any point pivot. At any point, you can make the changes you want. At any point, you can decide, okay, I've got this, this, and this going on, and now I want to, improve my relationship with X, Y, or Z. But it's really about radical self-acceptance and understanding that wherever you are at the moment is your choice, that you always have a choice. You have a choice to shift, to pivot, or you have a choice to live the way you're living. The important thing is to be happy with yourself.
It's a little bit early in the episode, but I'm already just going to pull that and we'll come back to it later. But the performance protocol of the day, radical self-acceptance. Okay.
Wait, what was that?
Huh?
What was that?
Performance protocol? We try to have one every single episode that's just like, hey, we're talking about a lot of either complicated or high level or maybe even broad subjects. How do we distill that down into something that anybody can just start doing tomorrow without necessarily having to maybe spend a lot of money or even spend a lot of time? Just optimization, right?
Or like summarizing his many rabbit holes that he's probably gone down on the podcast and putting it in simple terms as like, this is what you should gather from it.
So whether you are doing radical self-acceptance or maybe the polar opposite, which is what you're trying to help somebody out of, what are some ways that the mind and the body communicate with each other?
Absolutely. So the mind and the body are always communicating with each other, right?
Yeah.
We are enclosed in this physical vessel covered in skin, but the mind is here and the body is here. And the neuroscientists can give you all of the pathways and whether it's dopamine or serotonin or adrenaline or cortisol and everything that happens in your body based on the thoughts that you are having. This is very complex for most people and not applicable in the sense that they're not going to spend the time to now learn what chemicals the brain is producing depending on the thought processes that they are having. So I do leave that mostly to the neuroscientists, but the way it's integrated is very practical. If you are driving on the freeway and someone cuts you off, they can cut you off and you can just say, what an asshole.
It's okay.
There we go.
You're allowed to say that.
All right. Well, welcome to the Redox Revolution.
You guys rub off on me.
Well,
I didn't curse before I came to know
I'd
SSRP.
say that's good radical self-acceptance.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
All right, assholes on the road.
so you're driving down the freeway, someone cuts you off. If you are angry for a moment, great, and you keep going. But if you continue, you know that now your body's feeling the rage, because there are people that literally get enraged. If you cannot deny that you're having a physiological reaction to this, right? There's a lot of adrenaline, there's like just nervousness, shaking. So it's physically making you unwell. Over the long term, when we have the body go through these stresses, which can only be caused by what we are thinking. Your thoughts are going to make you happy or stressed out.
So this is kind of where like that let them theory comes in.
Yeah.
Like they cut you off. You can either get enraged and
Let them know you're enraged.
You could do that.
that's the wrong way to look at that. You took the let them theory and made it somehow work for you.
Maybe
But
the Dr. Seeds theory.
the Dr. Seeds version of
Let me
them.
let you know how I feel.
So what's the mechanistic explanation
There you
there
go.
for the stressors? Talking from the brain to the rest of the body, how when you feel that enragement, you can really kind of feel yourself. We've all felt it. You're like shaking a little, trembling, and you maybe even sometimes start to get a little bit nauseous.
Well, it's a sympathetic response, not parasympathetic. It's a sympathetic overdrive, which is going to activate more adrenaline, noradrenaline. It's going to then affect also the adrenals, and the adrenals are going to increase cortisol production, and then it's just it can cycle on its own. But the question you should be asking is, what are the long-term effects of that type of
That was my next
activity
question.
and thinking? It all comes
What are
down
the
to
long-term effects? Tell us.
it comes down to damage-associated molecular patterns that are actually been
viruses.
documented. And what's that?
Like little viruses on the body.
Well, there are things the brain makes. There are molecules the brain actually makes that are recognized by these pattern recognition receptors that then affect what are called toll-like receptors, which are on immune cells and endothelial cells and so forth, that then go through a series of conical and non-conical pathways to stimulate what? Oh, remember all these pathways we're talking about? NF-κB production, cytokine production, things that are inflammatory that then set a cascade and start to do what? Actually, they can start phenotypically changing cells and organs and processes where thought and mind are everything. You've got that. There's so much more to come out about this, that this is not there's real science behind what I just said. And those are real, those are the things, like when you talked about people that get sick and kind of feel like even though they're getting better, they're not getting better. Well, there are some influences there that they're not getting better because they're still producing those damage-associated molecular patterns that are affecting those pattern recognition receptors that are then affecting these toll-like receptors that are influencing the inflammasome and influencing in a cell or an immune cell that create that stimulation from the immune side that then comes back and has the reflexes of the enteric nervous system in the gut. You know, that's how people get into trouble with dysbiosis, and there's so much to this. I mean, we should write a book on this, actually.
Well, and I mean, you just gave a talk at the Biohackers World Conference, right? It's kind of as these two worlds start to collide a lot more, especially in the research between pathway medicine and spirituality, your talk was titled what? Mindset, Energy, and Biohacking, the Missing Link to Longevity and Peak Performance. So can you tell us a little bit about
Did Lea say longevity?
She put longevity in her title.
The title actually,
Lea
am I in trouble?
Healthspan.
Oh, I know a lot. If you talk to,
Lea.
I know, Healthspan. But both. How about both? Can we do both?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
It's about taking the word longevity back, which I think you're doing a good job doing.
Yeah, I was just giving you shit.
No, but you're right. It is Healthspan.
My pattern recognition receptors just had a little moment there.
Exactly.
Oh, look at you
all right.
go.
So as you try to bridge that gap, try to help us find that missing link, tell us a little bit more about what you talked about there.
My talk was geared more towards practitioners, doctors, and the practices. And in that talk, I like to remind practitioners and doctors of who they are. Again, going back to why did you decide one day that you would be involved in the healing of human beings? Well, you have to be a pretty extraordinary human being to decide that you want to be one of the people involved in the healing of humans. Why? Because it can be very taxing. It can be very stressful. You're going to see a lot of suffering, in fact. And you have to have a tremendous devotion to the wellness of humanity to take on that. And again, it's whether you're the doctor or the staff or the group or the person doing the intake, it means that you truly, truly care about humanity. So the first thing I really like to do with practices, with the doctors and any practitioners, remind them of who they are. Why? Because it's very easy to forget in the midst of the day-to-day, in the midst of having patients calling and complaining, or in the midst of that you did all of these things right, and that if they only did all of those things, that they would be well. It can get very frustrating. And this is where we have to remember, why did we start this? Mm-hmm. We started this because there is a deep kindness and compassion and care for humanity. And this is regardless of whether or not you have a spiritual practice or not. To me, I'd say if you are doing your inspired work, you are in spirit. So I consider you not only spiritual, but one of the solutions of the world, one of the walking angels in the world. So this talk generally starts with that, with practitioners, is I really want you guys to get in touch with why you started this and that it still matters, even in the midst of everything that goes on in the day-to-day handling of having a practice. So that's the beginning. And then there's a lot of times that the staff and the practitioners get burnout. Because they don't stop. Most practices don't stop, and they do make themselves available, and they do really care, and they do have compassion, and their heart does hurt when they see their patients not getting better and suffering. So what can we do then? Because we want to continue to give 100% with this extreme level of kindness, of generosity, and healing, which is very important in the process, but the practitioners need tools for themselves.
See, at the SSRP Institute, I feel like that burnout is not necessarily a fatigue of effort. It's a fatigue of not seeing results. A lot of the docs we end up getting are honestly trying to break out of that Western medicine approach because they're inside of a system where they're like, my patients just aren't getting better and I can't do anything inside of where I'm at to be able to help them. So we're kind of catching them on that slide where they're like, all right, I want to get back to why I came into this. And you've been to a lot of our events. I mean, can you just talk about some of the different areas of mindset that you've found everybody at? I'm sure you have found some of them who were just getting started, and then some of the people who've been with us for a long time who've been on this journey and this trajectory for many years. And I feel like that's two very different places to be at.
What I have found since I started going to SSRP, to the ground rounds, to all of the masterminds, and by the way, thank you, Matt, because you invited me to the first grand rounds, and that was like the most amazing thing for me.
I'm glad you had a good time. It's cool just being in a room with a couple of people where you get to share that conversation and that level of how do we all collectively continue to try to make this better. And I'm not saying you can't get that in big groups. Everything that obviously you say on stage, to whether it's hundreds or thousands of people, is always helpful. But it's the back and forth that really helps you build the confidence.
closer.
And yeah.
Well, first of all, I was extraordinarily delighted when I met you guys. As you know, there was a conference last October that we will be at again this year. And I had gone to that conference because I've been using peptides for a long time, and I started to take a deeper dive, and I saw, wow, in my opinion, peptides make life fair. That was my conclusion, right? So I wanted to learn from the master himself, Dr. Seeds. And so he was speaking at a conference in Los Angeles, and I said, oh, I'm going to go to that conference just so I could meet Dr. Seeds. And I had just read his book on peptides. And then this is very funny because I kept seeing Matt with the SSRP booth, and I met him, and I didn't put two and two together that you were father and son, but there was something about Matt, like he was so kind and just like, here's what we do and to the point. And I kept going back to see Matt to learn more about SSRP, and then I did take the opportunity to introduce myself to Dr. Seeds, and he was very warm and kind, and I know that I was very lucky that he was warm and kind to me.
That's so not true.
That's what you said.
That is so true.
But that's what you said.
What, 'cause
I give you so much credit, Leah, for just walking up and introducing yourself to him.
Why? Because I'm so not antisocial?
You have some RBF.
Oh, that's what we talked about in the other episode, resting bitch face.
I had a resting bitch face?
You do a lot.
Leah, tell them they're wrong.
Actually, to me, I've never seen that side of you,
Thank
thankfully.
you, Leah.
I've been, again, very lucky. But what happened at that first grand rounds in Los Angeles was that I was like, oh my gosh, these doctors actually care. This organization really cares. It was completely different because I've worked with a lot of different doctors and patients, and we've shared patients, and this was completely different. I was just amazed with how much education, and Dr. Seeds is just passionate about the science, but more than anything, that it really comes from a place of caring, of finding the newest and best solutions, like the rabbit holes to very complex illness. But the most important thing for me, coming from the background of somewhat spiritual practices, mental, emotional, spiritual, calibration and evaluations, was that the more I got to go to SSRP events, the more I got to be amongst all of the brilliant minds at SSRP, the more my work made sense, because actually, just like earlier, you have all the language, all the science to back up what physiologically happens if you're living in rage or in a high-stress lifestyle. But all of the people that I have met, and you said maybe there were some new ones that maybe are not so much, not in my case. Every single person that I've met has a deep passion for healing people. And I think it's important that we become more open about where this passion comes from, that we really care about humanity, that it's, as much as there's a lot of science involved, there is an energy behind the practice. There's an energy behind the protocols. You can give all the protocols. Why is it that someone can go to one doctor, they'll give them the same prescriptions, and then they'll come to another one and get healed with the same thing? There is an energy of care. And when the patient feels that the team actually cares about them as a human being, they can sigh. They sigh a bit of relief. It's like, oh, finally. Because most of the time, patients go to a practice, depending on what type of practice, they go stressed out.
Yeah.
They go like, is this going to be the one that's going to heal me?
I feel like the pyramid works from both sides, though. You're talking about the patient side, and then from the other side, I'm not trying to tout us up here and the rest of our team, whether it be Grace off camera or just the rest, everybody else, Cole, Drew,
What about Drew?
Jake, you name it.
Drew?
I feel like all of us, not trying to be sappy, but I think all of us care about you as a human and revel in watching you just be super excited on stage, and we all work very hard to watch you be able to do that. And
Like when
that
I go
means
to
a lot.
science fair?
Science fair or your own conferences, just seeing your passion does motivate us as well.
You know, at the certification, all of our guys at one point or another left the booth just to watch you on stage, and they're like, wow, like, you know, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing this. And so everything you're saying, I feel like that support to the doctor comes from the other side as well. If the team is energized to see even their leader succeed, it just helps the patients even more, and it's just kind of an infinite loop back and forth.
Well, then we're going to have to just widen the doors around here.
Yeah, I know. You're called an angel today.
I
in
am
that
just
conference.
loving this.
Today?
Leah, come back.
Yeah. But to your point,
Grace, are you hearing this? Please.
She's shaking her head no.
to your point too, we actually have had patients. I mean, a lot of patients come to us and they're saying like, "You are my last hope." Like, Dr. Seeds is like my final step, and if this doesn't work, then essentially I'm just
Gosh,
giving
I don't
up.
want to make it sound like we're like the last in the.
But I
person.
tell them, I'm like, we hear this a lot,
Yeah.
especially just because this
Yeah.
side of medicine's newer,
Correct.
so it wasn't available to them.
Yeah.
But then they also say, like, you guys are the first practice I've been to where I felt like I was believed, and I felt like you guys had faith in me and that you did believe I was feeling these things. And they say, like, I just felt listened to, which makes us happy that they feel that way, but then it also makes us so sad that they've been through years sometimes of just feeling like they're not being heard, feeling like just crap. So it's, to your point, it is very important.
It's very important, and I'm not surprised that your patients have this experience. Both, right? As your private practice, you have a brilliant doctor with all of the science. Yes, we're going to get double doors now.
Thank
But
you.
we must speak the facts. But see, they wouldn't believe in you if they didn't see what was happening, if they didn't see your passion and it backed up by science. So that's one of the things, right? Although I really work on the mental, emotional, and spiritual, we never divorce from the science because it should always be a dance of scientific medicine, and I call it spiritual medicine. The spiritual medicine is very simple. It's how kind are you to the people that come across your path, right? The spiritual medicine is the collaboration between everyone in the practice, the entire team, and the practitioner. This is the scientific, the spiritual medicine, right? The science is there, but we can't do any of that without the science. This is a reality, right? You always have to have some of the science in order to have the full healing. But with SSRP, and yes, it does sound like we're talking up SSRP, but the truth of the matter is that you really are offering the complete picture. And every single person that I've ever met that goes to SSRP, everyone involved, and everyone involved with Dr. Seeds, with Matt, with Maddie, with the entire group, really is coming to the table with a passion for changing how we help people heal, one person at a time. You know, I remember talks from Dr. Seed when you were working on something about bringing peptides, and you were like so excited that you were finally going to be able to bring them at a better price point to your patients. So this is not just that we're only serving a certain demographic. You're actually still working on how can we also bring this that we get to bring to certain people to a broader audience.
Well, absolutely. Think where we could go if we could get to the public. You know, if we could, the more doctors that are practicing in this realm and utilizing a product where they have to make more of it, it's economies of scale. The pricing is going to go down, and that's what we're working towards. And once that really kicks in, it's going to be amazing what we can do for the world. And it's
As long as you all stand together as a community, you can try to levy those benefits for each other.
Exactly, and that's
Everyone
that's
needs
why
to let their egos go and just work as a team.
And Couldn't have said it better. And that's why I think we're really more like we're a family of people that do leave those egos behind or try to, and are focused on we're not the greater good, it's the patient,
patients.
right? And it's all about, if you stick to those core beliefs, you can never go wrong, and you're always going to be right by the patient. And somewhere that's been lost. I don't know how, why, but I think it's why we're growing. I think it's why, because what you said is everybody recognizes that part. They feel like they're part of something. And when they make us feel like that, it just makes the power and the passion even bigger and bolder. And
Well, and I think more people are more practitioners and providers are coming to this type of medicine, one, because their patients are demanding that they do, because they're asking, and two, I just feel like they were sick of just continuing to hand out Band-Aids instead of looking for like, okay, well, why are you having this symptom? What can we do about it? Instead of just like, you're having this symptom, here's this medication, and then that medication causes a side effect, so you go to another specialist because of that side effect, and just no one was looking at the body as a whole. And I think that's what
it comes down to outcomes. We wouldn't be here if we weren't having the outcomes.
Yeah.
Real quick, since we're on the topic of peptides, and I feel like this is something we ask every single guest, and you are intimately familiar with everything we're doing at Cellular Medicine at the SSRP. Lea, do you have a favorite peptide?
Oh, I have
Great question.
Always got to ask.
a favorite. Shoot.
We've had some be like, all right, these are 2 or 3 that are tied for number 1. But if you can, like, pick a number 1,
A number
we would
one.
love it.
Okay.
Do you know we used to end eons ago when we first started our masterminds, and they were just very small groups around a table. We'd always end everything with, "What's your favorite peptide?" with every provider there. It's very cool to hear people talk about it. So that is a great question, Lea.
Okay. I have 4.
Oh, you're one of those.
Okay.
4
All
favorites,
right.
but if I had to choose, I'll tell you which one at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so muscle-wise, my life changed with tesamorelin and ipamorelin. And earlier I said peptides make life fair. So I've always worked out, really dialed in on the diet. Very, very disciplined. It's just better and easier for me to be disciplined versus not. But I didn't really start building the type of muscle that I felt I earned with my workouts until I started incorporating tesamorelin and ipamorelin.
And what type of muscle fiber was she adding to? The what type? We had talked about the more oxidative.
The oxidative.
Fibers. Yes, thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's great. I'm still
You
learning.
beat her to it.
He
Yeah.
did.
So those are just because I feel like
Those are 2.
they make your workouts fair, and it could be a different one, different, what do you call them, growth hormone secretagogues, right? But those are my favorite too
Nice.
for that. And then BPC 157 I absolutely love because in 2020 I got hit by a car as a pedestrian.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Here in L.A.?
Here in LA, on the back. I flew in the air and
Oh
I
my
landed
God.
in a seated position.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Yes. And I was, again, lifted by the angels.
You've never told us this.
Yeah,
No.
I
Yeah.
never heard this.
And
In that situation, though, were you cussing at the driver?
actually, I
I didn't know what happened.
I was praying. I was
Yeah.
like, God, please make sure I can walk.
Oh my.
Because I couldn't get up.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was really like just praying. And I was terrified. I was terrified because I had never been taken away on an ambulance in my life.
Wow.
Traumatic.
Yeah, so the healing process was difficult. I did a lot of PRP shots, bone marrow shots, and they'd work for a period of time. But it wasn't until I really started incorporating BPC 157 that the pain became manageable. And eventually I stopped going to physical therapy because I really it's extremely rare that I have any pain. And so
Incredible.
I do think BPC 157 is a miracle for physical pain and inflammation. I think it's extraordinary. It really made my life tremendously better. And then I would say this is my most favorite, is thymosin beta 4. I do think that's my most favorite.
Interesting.
Yes, and it's because I love, using it at night. I do feel that it helps me sleep a little bit. And I started upping my dose to 1 to 2 milligrams at night. I had a period of time where I was having some hair shedding, and I think it was because I was fasting too much. And that, to me, really did the trick. Like within 3 months of doing that, it really stopped the hair shedding. Thank goodness.
I never would have guessed TB4 would be your number one answer.
No, and that's what I feel like I was going to say. Like, I
Me
think
neither.
you're the first person who TB4 has been their answer.
Interesting. What did you think it would have been?
Not
Selling.
TB4.
I thought it was gonna be
gonna
selling also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just because of the body of work you do.
Yeah.
I
TB4
Yeah.
really threw me.
I would have said selling for sure.
You know how when you watch the Manning cast for Monday Night Football and they have the board of people who predicted a touchdown right and people who didn't?
Yeah.
We need the board of all
Who
the
predicted the
peptides.
peptides?
No, just the peptides and
What they
picked was their
picked.
favorite.
Yeah.
We'll
Love it.
we'll get fat heads of you and put it underneath the peptides and we'll have the
I
wall
like
right
that.
there. Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
you're definitely, I think, our first TB4.
We could do it down the
Interesting.
hallway down here in the office.
Oh my god.
That would-
Wow, that threw me.
That
Yeah.
threw you.
Yeah.
Well, here's another one that might throw you. I absolutely love this one, but I know you can't do it all the time. But when I do it, I feel amazing. FOXO4.
Yes, DRI.
That is a good one.
I
OXO4
love
DRI.
that. Like I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like suddenly it's like, oh, everything's even better in life than it was before.
Yeah.
She's, for the audience that doesn't know, she's talking about a senolytic, a true peptide senolytic that is.
It is a good one. And I have felt the difference with that
You
one,
feel
too.
it too? Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to be very smart in how you use it, and that's definitely an advanced
Yeah.
process.
Well, having started all of your conferences over a decade ago with basically only attendings being present, MDs, DOs, slowly working in the PAs and NPs and people who had prescriptive authority, and now everybody who's just in the general space of healing and well-being is present. How have you noticed the difference just in terms of our audience's dynamic with people such as Lea kind of joining the fray? And I don't want to say being accepted because there's people who've always accepted what you do, right? But more so that bridge of cellular medicine and spirituality are finally being recognized as having an overlap. So for a two-part question, how
two
have you
parts now.
Yep. How have you noticed just doctors' perspective change by really starting to accept that a lot of this stuff does come down to, mind, body, and spirit healing?
Because once they accept it and they see the outcome, it's like they can't deny it. That's what's happening, and I think
I
we're
knew that answer was too short.
I think we're helping. Hello. I think we're helping by bridging the gap of showing the cellular mechanisms that actually do occur, where people were like, "Yeah, that's bullshit," or "Yeah, that's great," but hello, the science is totally there, and ever so it's increasing, and you're going to see more and more information. That you're going to see more of what I talk about, the quantum physics part of it. That's going to be mind-boggling, and how Val corrected me, and she didn't get her quantum physics PhD, but she got a different type of PhD. I mean, that type of information is becoming more accepted because there's science to back it, and
And there's people like Lea out there making a difference,
But
and
there-
seeing it every day.
But there always will be, I'm going to tell you, everyone, there will always be this thing that Lea is, I think that she really represents well, is there's this connection that we will never be able to explain. We'll live forever. If we live forever for hundreds of years and we're studying this, we're never going to figure it out. That's one area I've stopped. I'm accepting that I will not ever really understand, because I don't think we're meant to, but we're meant to feel it. We're meant to experience it. We're meant to want to have more of those things happening. And I think I think the beauty that Lea brings to all of us and to the SSRP. And that's why I've really been very, very much supportive of Lea, for people to meet her and to see this part of what they're missing out in medicine and their patients are missing out on. And so I can't thank you enough, Lea, for wanting to be involved.
Well, the feeling is mutual, because I will say you all did embrace me with open arms. And, and I've told you guys more behind the scenes stuff on more of the spiritual level. But Dr. Seeds, you've always been open. You've always had a lot of questions for me, and had that open heart to want to understand, where does this fit in? Because you really care about humanity. You really care about your patients. And if there's a possibility that these thought processes are affecting patient outcomes, then you, because you are very scientific, are like, okay, then we need to incorporate these thought processes, and we need to elevate how people think and help them think the right way. In all of the grand rounds and all of the masterminds, you always say, I want to teach you guys how to think. You don't want to give anyone the answer or the solution. You never do.
Right.
And this is why you always break down those pathways, which for me is extraordinary, because every time you're breaking down the pathways, I'm like, yes, this makes sense. There's the scientific language for what I do. I don't have the scientific language, but it's like perfect. We understand each other, and we all see that patient outcomes are much better. People heal much faster when every part of the healing possibility is actually used, is actually practiced. Why would we neglect how people think or how they feel?
That's the perfect way to say it too. Like, if patients are saying it's working and you're seeing the noticeable benefits, I mean, how can you as a fiduciary for their health, ignore it? It's, if you don't mind me being super reductive, it's like if you told patients, all right, we're only doing Zoom calls now in black and white, and it increased their health by 50%. It's the same thing. Just because it doesn't sound good to you, if it's working, you do it. Yeah. So that's a really dumb example. But, like, you know what I mean?
But it's true.
Yeah.
Why would you not use any tool at your disposal to make people's lives better?
When it's undeniably doing so.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do find that the less information you have about the science and the pathways and the physiological reactions to stress, the less open you are to how do these thought processes actually connect with the body? How does this actually affect my health? But the more you understand all of the science between what happens in the body when you are in a constant state of stress, whatever the source is, whether it's a thought or something happening on the outside, which, by the way, anything happening on the outside incites a thought, right? And so that thought is either going to create a feeling of relaxation, or it's going to put the body in a stressful position. And so the more the doctors that I have found and the practitioners and just the people in general that understand these pathways really embrace the work of, let's work on some of those thought processes. Let's make sure that people are, let's put it in really simple terms, are having more happy thoughts than crappy thoughts.
For the doctors who don't really have that education on the pathways and who are really not believing it, what do you think, like, their big hurdle is? Is it that they don't want to learn those pathways, or is it like just a own personal, well, that just can't be real, so they just turn a cold shoulder to everything?
What I have found is that many of those doctors, unfortunately, are in what you would call just a standard practice. And to be fair to those practitioners, what happens is that it's very difficult to split your time between being an actual practitioner and a researcher. Mm-hmm. And so in SSRP, for example, you have researchers and practitioners, and they do split their time between that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming to these masterminds, right?
Can I say something just really emotional about that? And that's why I think you, Dad, have taken such and impassioned stance on why the SSRP needs to be so diligent on being conflict-free. Because you're right. It shouldn't be on the doctors to be both a provider and a researcher. So when they're going to all these educational conferences, it really is a responsibility to make sure that you're doing right by them and you're not just trying to sell them something, that you're actually out there saying, hey, thank you for trusting us with your time, your very precious time that you're taking away from your clinic. This is actually going to mean something, and this is actually going to be impactful. And that's the most infuriating and annoying part of this industry as a whole, but go ahead.
What you're saying is extremely important, because I think there is where the spiritual medicine comes again. You know, this is what I call it. You have the practitioners that come to you that are actually doing the thing. They're making the time. They're taking time away from the practice. They're spending the money. They're traveling. Where does that come from? That comes from some mystical, magical command center? That comes from a deep passion to help people. And because this is your work at SSRP, when these people come, you're like, oh, this is my tribe. Like, you guys want to actually make people's lives better too. And so this recognition is what creates that beautiful harmony and really amplifies everyone's possibility of creating more accelerated and elevated healing for their patients. And so the community is extremely important as well. You know, I've never seen anyone at any of the events that are not happy. You know, they're just like jazzed up, like, what are we going to learn this time? You know, what's the new thing? And they know that they can come to SSRP. They know that something is going to come out of Dr. Seed's mouth that they haven't heard before, and that they're going to leave looking at things a little bit differently. They're going to leave with some extra tools.
I think one of my favorites is at one of the masterminds. I forget who said it, but it was in Nashville. I asked them, I'm like, hey, did you bring your thinking cap? And they're like, nah, I'm just going to let him melt my brain, but I'll understand it eventually. Probably not, but maybe eventually.
That's funny.
Lea, this was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for making the strenuous drive over from another portion of Los Angeles to come join us today. But do you have any parting words?
I do. I want to thank you all for the extraordinary work that you're doing. I think that the more we have people that have this passion and this desire to make people's lives better, we are doing it. We are going to do it one person at a time. And I'm so grateful for all of you, because the passion is there and you're bringing the information, and the hearts are very open here. And with the open hearts, the generosity, and the science, there's nothing we can't heal.
Love it.
Damn
is right. And not much to say. Drop the mic, right? Can't drop these. They're expensive. That's beautiful. Lea, thank you for coming, and this has been awesome. And I think this is great messaging to the patients out there and the people, that there's still hope. There are a lot of great things happening, and
you're not alone.
You're not alone. You're part of it right now. Matt and Maddie, Lea, thank you for being part of a very special episode of Redox Revolution, and I hope to see you guys back again soon. Take care.